Hello, class. Craig here. I wanted to review the academic argument essay number 3 draft for the introduction instructions. So by now, right, we should have been thinking about our abstract term. What is difficult to understand about the term? And how are you going to analyze literature to make a point? How are you going to do a character analysis and look at the decision-making process of the characters to make a point about identity, to make a point about depression, to make a point about addiction, and or any of those other abstract terms that you have the opportunity to write about. So it's all about critical thinking. And think about the use of logos instead of pathos and illogical emotional assumptions, hidden assumptions. Think about philosophical counseling on page 60 and writing logically, thinking critically, that urges critical thinking skills so that people can better understand their decision-making process, just like characters. How could tragedy possibly have been averted in Macbeth, in Hamlet, or in whatever fictional source or sources you choose to write about? So this assignment, right, is an exercise in dialectical thinking, which is the arriving at the truth by disclosing the views contrary to yours and overcoming them. Again, we all agree on certain denotations of these abstract terms listed on pages 117 to 118. The question is, which are the ones that we don't agree on? Which abstract ideas can we better understand by analyzing literature? Because when we read about literature and analyze literature, we learn about life and the human experience. So whichever term you took, that becomes your issue. And then the question at issue, what do you learn about blank by analyzing blank, your fiction, right? So what will your readers learn about identity by analyzing fiction, depression, courage, etc., progress, right? And just as we've done all semester, you always want to use the elements of fiction, poetry, and plays when you're analyzing your fiction. Focus on plot, what happens and why is it important? Character, what do they think? How do they behave? What are their actions, right? What are their feelings? It's always, right, imagery as possible, literal imagery or symbolic imagery. There's always going to be issues of style you can focus on, word choice, connotation, denotation, figures of speech. You can look at lineation, right? Caesuras, enjambment, punctuation. Any of the elements of fiction, poetry, and plays from reading and writing about literature that we have discussed and read about through the semester are fair game as your supporting ideas. So much as you did for essays 1 and 2, where you made a point about a theme, an issue, and you, right, analyzed literature to present that point to fulfill your student learning outcomes, right? You analyze, you compose, you evaluate. And when you synthesize your analysis with your evaluation of the sources, you synthesize that, that's when you're composing your academic argument. So what I'd like to do is draw your attention as well to the Purdue OWL webpage on introductions, body paragraphs, and conclusions. And we'll just focus on the section on introductions. You'll notice I put the link to the page at the after this on this page with this video. And right, what is this? Why am I reading it? What do you want me to do? Right? We've discussed these ideas in terms of getting started, but I like the idea of setting the context, because what is abstract about your term? Make sure that you let the reader know your issue. Make sure that you answer the question at issue, right? Why is the main idea important? How does this relate to the human experience? What do we learn about identity or depression or addiction or progress or maturity that we can use to better understand life, to better understand our decision-making process? Make sure you state your claim, your thesis, and make sure you have those elements of fiction listed in the intro, those supporting details to let the reader know how you're going to prove your claim. Last but certainly not least, they have some examples here. Take a look at the thesis checklist, and I'm going to include this thesis checklist within the discussion so that hopefully these are the 4 things that everyone is accomplishing, right? As you're getting ready to revise and work on your draft of your introduction so that you can complete, right, a successful introduction that fulfills this assignment's guidelines and is effective. You want to present your background on your subject and your topic. What is your issue? What is your fictional sources? You want to present the claim. What do we learn about your issue by analyzing blank? List out the sources, the characters, and you want to list out those elements of fiction, poetry, and plays that you're going to focus on. By analyzing plot, character, and symbolism, readers can get a better understanding of how critical thinking skills affect one's decision-making process in, right, Macbeth, in Hamlet. It's all about the characters, the analysis. You can compare and contrast. You can focus on just one character. It's up to you. I hope you found this helpful. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to reading your intros.